I'd now like to call on Farhad Ansari, who's going to speak on behalf of the We Are Babar Ahmad campaign. Very, very important campaign. Challenging the most gross injustice, the abolition of habeas corpus in this country, locking people up for years and years before intending to hand them over to the Americans. But Farhad will talk about that. Thank you.
In every generation, there are a group of people, however small, who will always stand up and sacrifice their time, their money, their reputation, their lives for the sake of justice and for the sake of creating a better world. It is an honour for me to stand on the same stage with people like Doreen, like Janet and like John. Because of the sacrifices being made, we are living in a far better world than it would be otherwise. It is from their stories and their struggles that we, the Babar Ahmad campaign, and specifically his family, gain the strength to carry on. When we see Doreen's 18 years of non-stop struggle for her son, for justice, and to bring the perpetrators to account, we gain strength from those. So thank you, Doreen, thank you, Janet, thank you, John, and thank you all of those who have struggled in this way. It's sad that the athletes who are going to be coming to London 2012 may not have the spine that was seen in Mexico in 1968. Because it is, well, maybe a coincidence, maybe not, but a number of British citizens, including Babar Ahmad and Talha Ahsan, both now in prison for over 14 years collectively without trial, may be extradited to the United States at the outset of the London Olympics. It is a moment of shame on this country that it will extradite its own citizens to a foreign jurisdiction for crimes they said were committed in this country. For those of you who are not familiar with Babar Ahmad's case, I will quickly summarize because time is short. But 8 years ago, he was the victim of a brutal police assault which left him with over 73 injuries. While he was being strangled in the police van, PC Mark Jones said to him, "You will remember this day for the rest of your fucking life." Babar Ahmad remembered that day, and it is Mark Jones who was not allowed to forget that day. Because someone like Babar Ahmad was the wrong person to pick on. He was the terror suspect they wished they had killed. Because they let him live, he has made their lives a living hell. For 8 years, Babar and his family have struggled, have fought against the mechanisms of the state. Until finally in 2009, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner himself admitted finally in the High Court that his men had carried out the assault as Babar had claimed they did. But that was not the end. On the back of that, we still had to fight a further 2 years before those police officers were brought to trial. And only in a country as great as Great Britain could those 4 officers, after a 5-week trial with audio evidence, with video evidence, with witness evidence, could they be found not guilty by a jury within less than an hour. Moreover, 2 of the jurors asked the judge for permission to shake the officer's hands afterwards. And as BBC reported, they did in fact shake their hands after the trial had finished. Moreover, if that's not bad enough, throughout this time, Babar Ahmad has been in prison without trial, the longest detained without trial British citizen in the history of Britain, waiting to be extradited to America for running a website from the UK. It's not just about Babar though, this is the thing we must realise. This thing which started about this is just for the Muslims. Once these powers come into play, they affect each and every one of us. Apart from Babar Ahmad, we have now seen the cases, we already have the case of Gary McKinnon, who we are all aware of. But more recently, a young student from Sheffield, Richard O'Dwyer, who was operating a file-sharing website, transferring, directing people to websites where they could download music, is facing extradition to the United States. File sharing and this copyright offense is not a criminal offense in this country. What next? Will they start extraditing people who drink alcohol to Saudi Arabia? This is how ridiculous the situation is. Now, the whole point of this extradition treaty that this country has with the United States is that a person does not get to be tried in this country. All it takes is for the United States to say, we want them here. You do not get the opportunity to even see or challenge the evidence in a British court, unlike an American citizen who would have that opportunity before being extradited to the UK. The extradition treaty must stop. Now, how do we end this? How do we move forward? Because I know my time is short and a note is coming my way. There's an old Chinese proverb that says that if every single person was to carry one pebble, the people could move mountains. Everybody in this room must know somebody, an MP, somebody in the Home Office, somebody in the CPS. This issue must make noise. Malcolm X said that it is a hinge that squeaks that gets the grease. As Joy has shown us, squeaking doesn't get you anywhere. You've got to make a lot of noise, a lot of roaring, and that's what we need to do for the next 2 months. If Babar is extradited and Talha is extradited to the United States, they face the prospect of life imprisonment in solitary confinement in a supermax prison the UN has condemned as amounting to torture. We cannot let this happen. I'll leave you with a message from Babar, which he said yesterday he was listening to the news and he heard John speaking about whether he would do the salute again and do what he did again, now knowing the suffering he went through afterwards. And I think John said something to the effect that even after all the suffering, if I was to look back, I would do it again 1,000 times over. And Babar said, when you speak tonight, I want you to say this message really for the Metropolitan Police. And he wants them to hear this loud and clear, that because he stood up to the police brutality and exposed what they were doing to him, because of that he has spent the last 8 years in prison without trial. And the message is loud and clear that if this was to happen again, he would do it 1,000 times over.